There you go. Attendu que le Canada est fondé sur des principes qui reconnaissent la suprématie de Dieu et la primauté du droit, prenons un moment de réflexion personnelle. Whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law, let us take a moment of personal reflection.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command, car ton bras s'est porté les paix, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you very much. Item 4, addition, deletion, or amendments. We have a few items to add. Under 17A, myself for just an update for UCPR traffic. Item B, Councillor Saucier for tree lighting. Item C, Councillor Pohl for a thank you message. And item D, myself for 417 Industrial Park. Something to add, Councillor Lorrain?
Yeah, E, I would just like a quick discussion on the curve on Route 400. So signs on Route 400 for speed signs.
Route 400?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, other members of council? No? Okay, so item 5, motion to approve the agenda as amended. Moved by Councillor Lorrain, seconded by Councillor Pohl. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 6, disclosure of pecuniary interest. See none. Item 7, adoption of the minutes, regular council minutes of November 5th, 2018. Motion to approve the following minutes as presented. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Saucier, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. Questions, comments? All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 8, presentations. We have none. Item 9, delegations. We have none. Item 10, consent items. Motion that all items listed under consent items be received as presented. Item A, minutes of the Township of Russell Public Library Board of September 27, 2018. And item B, minutes of the Limoges Citizens Committee, October 9, 2018. Councillor Brisson?
If I can just retract for the minutes of the public library before voting.
Okay, so we'll vote on these two items separately since there's just two. So, peut-être besoin mover seconder pour les séparer. So moved by Councillor Brisson, seconded by Councillor Pohl to separate these two items. So we'll start with item A. Need a mover and a seconder vote on the table. Moved by Conseiller Lorrain, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. Questions, Conseiller Brisson?
Yeah, there's two small things that I wanted to know. They were saying that the mega book sale was canceled, but they plan to do it anyways next year. What's the reason that it was canceled?
Councillor Saucier?
Well, it was brought forward by France, and I think it was mostly staff time and the work involved, and you know, it is successful, so the board voted to have it continue for next year and then relook at it again.
Okay.
But it is a big fundraiser and a lot of the community looks forward to it, so we
Yeah.
thought we'd go one more year.
Yeah, because the way I read it is that there was some small sales at the
Yeah.
library, at
Yeah,
the branches.
it's there right
Instead
now.
of-
There's one shelf, like, you know, so
Yeah,
it's not
but-
going to create the same revenue.
Okay, perfect. Conseiller Brisson?
And the other question, it was, at first, they say that the lease for the storage was not renewed, and after, at the end, they're talking about renewing the storage contract. So are they renewing it or not?
Councillor Saucier?
Thank you. They're renewing it. If they weren't having the sale, they wouldn't be storing the books. So now, because they are, they have to renew and have a place to store all the books that for the next sale.
That's
Yeah.
why at the beginning, they
Yeah.
said that they were not renewing, but then.
Yeah.
I guess
they
it's
could
a dollar and cents thing. You know, it's nice if they make $2,000 worth of profit at the book sale, but it costs them $3,000 worth of storage. Then
Yeah,
it's not really,
but I think we make around 6 usually at the book sale, so it is.
and the
quite-
storage of
Yeah.
isn't that
Yeah,
expensive. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
No.
All those in favor to receive the minutes, item A? Approved. Item B for the Limoges Citizens Committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? I need a mover and a seconder to put on the table first, though. Moved by,
Isn't that the original one, though?
well, we separated the two. Yeah, so Councillor Laurent, Conseiller Brisson, everyone was in favor. Item 11, reports from department and council committees. Item A, removal of part lock control, report PD 78-2018. The council receives report PD 78-2018 dated November 19th, 2018, and adopts a bylaw to approve the proposed application for the removal of part lock control submitted by 2035482 Ontario Inc., care of Mathieu Quesnel, for the parcel of land described as Block 63 on Plan 50M-331, being parts 1 to 7 on Plan 50R10773, and known as 307-313 Belfort Street in the Village of Emmer. Questions, comments, members of council? Anything to add from the administration? No, pretty standard stuff. Item B, correction on the removal of part lock control report PD 79-2018. That council receives report PD 79-2018 dated November 19, 2018, and council repeal bylaw 2018-144 dated November 5, 2018, and adopts a corrected bylaw for the proposed application for the removal of part lock control submitted by Melanie Construction Inc., care of James D. Campbell of Campbell and Sabourin LLP, for the parcel of land described as 1 Lot 92 on Plan 50M-332, being parts 1, 2, and 3 on Plan 50R-10772, and known as 422-424 Twilight Avenue in the Village of Russell. Questions, comments, members of council? Anything to add from the administration? No? We'll move on to item C. Pay list October 2018. That council receives the pay list for the month of October 2018. Questions, comments, members of council on the pay list? Anything to add from the administration? No? All right. Item D, amendments to the calendar of 2019 budget meetings, report FS 39A-2018. That council receives report FS 39-2018 dated November 19, 2018, and adopts the modified 2019 budget meetings calendar as proposed in Schedule A. Questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Laurent?
I'll ask the same question I asked the other day. I'm assuming Mr. Tarnowski has been discussed the new dates with, and that he's okay with the new dates.
Yep.
I'll make a comment that I'm okay with the new dates. Unfortunately, I haven't got final confirmation on the other dates yet for being away, but if these dates work for council, then I'm okay.
Yeah, so we're just to confirm, we're talking about December 5th for the public meeting. The first draft will be on a special meeting on January 14th. And then we'll have our working sessions on January 23rd and 24th. And then looking hopefully for a final version budget adoption on the 19th. So everybody okay with those dates? Conseiller Brisson?
Just mentioning a big thank you. Especially my wife is really happy because we're able to still go on vacation. So thank you that we've been able to put those in advance and,
Yeah, there's an age-old expression, happy wife, happy life, right?
yep.
There you go.
Yeah, because she wasn't happy before.
Conseiller Lorrain.
Yeah, just a question. So it says special meeting of council on Monday, January the 14th.
Yes.
When are our council meetings then in January?
We only have one on the January 21st.
Just on the 21st?
First, yeah. So we'll have a special meeting on the 14th. Once this is all approved, then all these dates will be sent, and we can send also the regular meetings for next year to put in our calendar.
I was gonna say, because I don't have anything on calendar yet, so, all right.
Perfect.
Mr. Mayor,
Madame Camille Laflamme?
just to mention, we'll send the meeting request only after the December 3rd meeting, if that's okay. Because at that time, we'll have the group of the new council meeting,
Okay.
council members, so it's going to be easier. But
To
we'll
send.
send you the list right after the meeting, so
Okay.
you'll have it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Everybody's okay with that? Anything to add from the administration? No? Okay. We'll move on. Item E, new tax class, report FS 46 2018. The council receives report FS 46 2018 dated November 19th, 2018 and approves the proposed bylaw to amend bylaw 2018-055 to include the tax class NT being the code for new multi-residential. Questions, comments? Conseiller Lorrain, then Conseiller Brisson.
So is this a new building, or is this an existing building that's been reclassified?
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin.
Oui, merci, Monsieur le Maire. Good evening, members of council. So basically, it's a new class altogether. It's not just one property we're speaking about. The class was adopted by the counties this year, and now we have to follow suit because we do have one property that falls into that category. So it's not a new building; it's just a reclassification.
Okay, so then we talk about the fact that there's going to be an increase of $13,000 to the 2018 budget. Is this something that building or that owner of that building knows and understands that this was in the works? Or are we automatically hitting him with a tax bill at the end of the year that he had no idea was coming? Comparatively speaking to previous years that he's owned this building.
Monsieur Godin.
I know our tax clerk is looking into the situation, but I mean, regarding that specific property, honestly, I'd have to double check what the exact situation is, and I can definitely ensure that the proper communications are brought to advise them if any changes are done. Just to come back to my previous answer, it's probably a new construction because it is grandfather where multi-residential now, if they're already existing and they're already on the roll, this doesn't affect them. It's when we have new multi-residentials that are getting onto the roll, there's going to be the special rate or the reduced rate for these properties.
So it could be, in this case, it could be a new construction that hasn't got their first bill yet.
Exactly. So I think that the reason it's coming late like this is because we obtained a supplementary taxation request from MPAC based on a new valuation. But I'm just I don't know the specific details of the property in question, so I can definitely look into it and make sure that's accurate and that proper communications are made in that respect.
Well, I mean, like I said, I appreciate that, but I want to make sure that the owner understands that this is coming,
Yeah.
right? Because if they weren't paying anything and this is the first bill they ever got, then okay. But you're saying there's a $13,000 incremental to the 2018 budget.
So this new tax class is actually a reduction from the previous ratio. Like for existing multi-residentials, there's a ratio of 2. So this isn't an increase on anybody's tax bill. It's the increase, like the 13,000 extra, is basically from the new property that's on that new class roll.
I'm sorry, say that again?
So the $13,000 is revenues that we weren't collecting before because we didn't have anybody on that tax class. So it would be a new property that's being added to the roll.
So it's not necessarily not necessarily a new it's not necessarily $13,000 added to this person's bill. It's this, there was nobody under this tax class before.
Exactly.
Now this person is in this tax class, so instead of going to the other tax class, it's 13,000 going into this tax class.
For that one property, so it is an increase for that one property.
No, not,
Because it's a new property.
yeah.
Just to clarify that.
But he could have been classified under the old multi-residential, so his tax bill of 13,000, for example, could have been going under the old tax,
Well, if the other one was a 2 and this one's less, how are we getting more money?
The reason we're getting more money is because it's a new property. So answering your question, that's why I realized that it is a new property, because it would make sense to have more money
Okay.
than the opposite.
So then this person is actually going to see a reduction in what he would have received, or he or she
At that
would have received based on the old classification at 2, and this one's at 1,
Just that one.
just at 1.
Yep.
So same as residential.
Exactly.
Okay, so he's getting only half the bill that he was expecting, he or she was expecting.
Right, if they were expecting, if they had looked into it prior.
Okay, thank you.
Conseiller Brisson?
Juste clarifier, avec celle-là, c'est pour un immeuble à logement, mais il n'y en avait pas d'autres qui étaient affectés par ce même... C'est quoi les critères pour cette nouvelle taxe-là? C'est comme temps de logis, c'est quoi? C'est...
Donc, de ma compréhension, c'est tous les nouveaux multirésidentiels, mais c'est les nouveaux, c'est pas les anciens. Donc, si c'est déjà un multirésidentiel qui était sur le rôle, avec les ratios à 2, je crois que ceux-ci ne sont pas affectés par ça. Donc, ça, c'est les propriétés qui sont affectées, c'est les nouvelles propriétés. Donc, dans ce cas-ci, c'est une propriété qui est ajoutée au rôle avec des taxes supplémentaires.
Mais puis là, là, ça revient pas vraiment fair pour les autres. Si les autres sont à 2, comme tu dis, puis les nouvelles sont à 1, je comprends comme des fois quand il n'y a pas de hausse, mais là, que ça soit diminué, comment se fait que les autres, dans cette catégorie-là, ne sont pas réinclus dedans?
De ma compréhension, basée sur ma discussion avec Julie Mélambeau, qui est la trésorière aux Comptes-Unis, c'est pas quelque chose qui a été demandé par le Conseil de changer ça, mais c'est plutôt, ça a été imposé d'avoir un nouveau taux pour les nouveaux multirésidentiels par la province. Donc, la décision, c'était pas de changer le taux, le ratio au complet pour toute la classe, mais de respecter les minimum requirements, si on veut, de la province, puis d'affecter ce taux-là pour les nouvelles résidentielles, multirésidentielles.
Ça se peut que ça soit un incentif au niveau de la province pour créer plus de multirésidentiels.
Ouais, c'est que si les nouveaux, mais les anciens, ils devraient retomber dans la même catégorie aussi. C'est du en multi. Tu sais, comme, parce qu'il a été bâti une année après l'autre, il faudrait qu'il paye le double de taxes. Il n'y a pas de logique dedans que si tu dis, OK, c'est une nouvelle taxe parce qu'il n'était pas vraiment considéré comme 10 logis et plus ou quelque chose comme ça, je comprendrais, mais dire parce que c'est parti de cette année, mais celui qui a été bâti l'année passée, non, tu payes le double de taxes. Il faudrait juste vérifier tout bien ça, clarifier.
Oui.
J'aimerais
Ouais.
mieux. Hein?
Monsieur Godin?
Oui, merci, M. le maire. Je comprends ton point, puis je suis d'accord, ça crée une inconsistance. Par rapport à la municipalité comme telle, ici, nous, on doit suivre les ratios qui sont adoptés par les Comptes-Unis, mais je peux définitivement poser plus de questions à Mme Mélambeau pour des clarifications à ce niveau-là.
Puis si je m'en rappelle bien aussi, il y a déjà existant dans les taux commerciaux, il y a quelque chose de semblable où il y a un commercial puis un new commercial, puis les deux montants sont pas pareils comme c'est là.
Pour l'industriel, je sais qu'il y a quelque chose de semblable. Si vous voulez, c'est ça. Je peux faire les suivis à Mme Mélambeau, puis...
Oui, mais si je m'en rappelle bien au comté, c'était vraiment quelque chose que la province nous demandait de mettre en place. Councillor Paul?
Yeah, just a quick question. Did the counties also adopt this already, or they're still going to adopt the new class?
So yeah, the counties did adopt this, and that's why we have to bring it to our council now, because we have to follow the same ratios as the counties.
D'autres questions, commentaires? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter, M. Godin? Non? OK. Item F, Strategic Asset Management Policy Report AM 06-2018. The Council receives Report AM 06-2018 dated November 19, 2018, adopts a bylaw for the Strategic Asset Management Policy. Questions, comments, members of Council? Anything to speak about, M. Bourgon, on this file? Excuse, M. Godin?
Oui, merci, Mr. Mayor. No, I mean, this is just continuation of our asset management practices and projects. It's to follow the regulations from the province. Again, it is a requirement for, as of July 1st, 2019, we had to have a strategic asset management policy in place. Essentially, this just confirms the township's intentions to keep moving forward with best practices for asset management and responsible planning regarding all of our assets and infrastructure.
Perfect. Just out of curiosity, with the change in provincial government, has there been any indications as far as change in direction for asset management? No. We're good. Okay, perfect. Any other questions, comments? No. Perfect. Item G, user fees and charges bylaw amendment report PIC 34/2018 to reduce permit fees for temporary signs such as mobile signs, banners, inflatable signs. Council received report PIC 34/2018 dated November 19, 2018. And as recommended, this report approves the proposed bylaw to amend Schedule A, Section 1, or Schedule A11, Section 1 of the user fees and charges bylaw 2017-099. Questions, comments? Conseiller Brisson.
Yeah, whenever I was looking at the report saying that dropping the price for temporary saying, especially whenever it's a reopening or thing like that, personally, I think that we shouldn't even be charging anything. Whenever it's short term, I would say short term saying maximum a week for an event that they're already in a lot, they did pay a lot of money often because it's if they reopen or if they have a special promotion like anniversary, special anniversary. And especially if it's just small flags or anything, it's not a huge sign that then it come under the other bylaw. For temporary sign, just the paperwork for themselves and for yourself to handle, and then they have to have all that work instead of just letting them having, it makes some frustration otherwise. Because otherwise we've had that case that instead of being proud to show his new store, he was just, we didn't say the word, whenever we were there, because we asked him to remove the sign, and it was just for publicity and for the day. So even having to, it was not a question of money, it was just having that possibility for a few days to maximum of a week. My point of view, that's what it is.
So are you making a suggestion?
Yeah, that instead of saying to drop to cut in half the that they will for special event for short-term sign be exempt from a permit.
Okay. Okay, that's a suggestion. We'll continue the discussion. Conseiller Lorrain.
I think I don't disagree with a lot of what you're saying. However, and I think this comment may come from Madame Bordeaux, is I still think there should be the permit process, but maybe having the fee waived at that point in time makes sense. But I think we still need to see what they're going to put up, right? Because by just saying we waive the fee and we waive the permit process, we're not going to see what they're going to put up. So somebody can go and put up something offensive in their, for that, and if it's only a one-day rally and boom, now you see these flags and these signs, and I still think there needs to be some checks and balances there. But I don't disagree that for something like that, for a business that's putting incremental taxes into the economy, hiring our residents in their businesses, I think we could do something for them, and I think waiving or reducing further that fee makes a lot of sense. So, but I still think we need that application process.
Councillor Sosia.
I tend to agree with Councillor Moran, but again,
Been on record.
again, I really want to support businesses, and if they're having a promotional thing or their grand opening, that we're not making it difficult for them to advertise, because I think we really need to support our local businesses.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Paul?
I think I agree with Councillor Lorrain also, because we also want to make sure it's temporary. And this temporary doesn't stretch out into 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Otherwise, you have no control over that if there's not an actual permit application. And for finding and everything else, because if it does become permanent, you definitely want to be out there to be able to find them or to say, hey,
Time
it's
to take
gone
it
next week or we're coming in.
Madame Bordeaux?
Well, first off is, we don't have a section that permits signs for a couple of days. So that would have to change in the bylaw. The other thing is, how many times a year do you want to allow these types of signs? Because someone, it's grand opening, the other person, it's closing, the other one is 2-day sale, the other one is there's all kinds of occasions. So we have to figure
Be
that one out.
specific.
And I want to know these types of things, like, is this something that you want for, you know, just for special events like a grand opening? So how many times a year do we allow this? And because people were invited to the open house when we did draft the sign bylaw, and people are aware. So when you see signs come up, people are aware, they just take a chance of not getting caught. So that's why I suggested reducing the amount, the price of the signs. And I suggested to do another category of sign that would permit signs for a week or something like that. But then they said, well, if you reduce the amount of the permit, then we'll just leave the sign up for a month, so that's fine. You don't have to reduce the time limit, so that's why it was done this way. So the sign can stay there for a month, it costs $60. If you want it to be less, it can be less.
So you did have discussions with some of the business people?
Well, I had discussion with the sign makers.
Okay.
So people who produce the signs. So they're the ones that suggested to leave it for 30 days, just to reduce the price. So,
Councillor Laurent?
So when the resolution comes up, can we take this one out of the consent items?
Yep.
And I'll make the amendment, and I like the fact that, you know, we don't want to recreate the wheel and start making all these different classifications. It's already there. I'm going to suggest a $25 fee, and that way there's still a charge. It's not as imposing as a $120 fee. They know there was a fee in the past. Why don't we go $25? And that way we still see everything. They get their ability to put their signs out. And does that make sense?
Madame Bourdon?
yes, right now they're allowed 3 temporary sign permits per year. So,
3 per unit?
per year.
Per year.
So they could have 3 months in this case of signs being up. Month here, month there, month there.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, oh, go ahead, Mr. Paul.
Just one on that, you have a, what is it called, subsequent permit at $60, so that would also have to change or not?
So is that over and above the 3? Is that what that one is?
No, it's the first permit was 120, the second one was 60. The third one was 60.
So you have to change both if you.
So you have to change both.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
can put them all at whatever price.
Yeah, you could do them all at 25.
I think all 25.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because then they know, so they get 3 now, then if they get a subsequent,
So they would be limited, right now it stands, they would be limited to 3 a year. That's correct?
Yes.
Unless we change that. My question is regards to the process. Do we have an option, for example, somebody's just putting up a couple of flags. Can they just go on our website, click on the sign permit? You know,
Not right now.
not right now. That's
It's
something.
something that we're looking at.
Okay, just to make, from business owner perspective, it's something they can just click, I'm putting this sign up, maybe be able to attach a file of what the picture looks like, that way the staff will see what it looks like and say, yeah, okay, email's good, pay the fine, the fee, so, okay, I was just inquiring. Councillor Laurent?
yeah, I was just wondering, right now it's at 3, can we make it 4? And that way there you get 1 per season if you wanted to do something spring, fall, summer, and,
Make the suggestion during the amendment?
yeah. So those would be the 2 amendments, go to 4 and go to $25 for the fee.
Okay.
So,
Well, it'll be a separate item, we'll be able to have more. Did you have any more comments, Madame Bordeaux? No? Okay. Conseiller Brisson?
Yeah, I'd like whenever, especially whenever it's flagged, easy to notify, because one thing that we have to realize that often those businesses, it's a request from their supplier that they're asking to have those temporary flags or things like that. So that we should be able to allow it, that it doesn't cost more than what they receive from their supplier. So, thank you.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Move on to the next item, item H, verbal update on Christmas concerts, RES 9/2012, CL 2018. Whereas Council adopted Resolution 9/2012 on January 16, 2012 with respect to Christmas concert, and whereas the procedural bylaw adopted by Council and in effect states that the inaugural meeting of the newly elected Council following a regular election shall be considered the council's first meeting and shall be held no later than the first day of December, or the first Monday in December of an election year, beginning at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers of the Township of Russell Municipal Office. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Resolution 9/2012 be amended to reflect that Christmas concerts shall not apply to the first regular council meeting of council during a municipal election year, but only to the second regular council meeting. Pretty standard. Questions, comments, members of council? Conseiller Lorrain, and then Councillor Saucier.
Yeah, I'm fine with the report and everything, but is that in our procedure bylaw? And if so, do we not then have to open the procedure bylaw and give notice?
Madame Camille Laflamme?
To you, Mr. Mayor, the Christmas concert, no, is not in the procedural bylaw.
No.
Okay,
Simply a resolution that passed back then.
that's fine.
Councillor Saucier?
Yeah, it was just a question. When we had put forth the idea of having the Christmas concerts, you know, when we initially had 2 dates, and I had put forth 2 possibilities of performers. So I'm just wondering, do we just want to go with one for the evening? And do I let them know, or are you going to inform the people? Because there are 2 that are willing to perform. So I just wanted to know.
Madame Camille Laflamme? Up to
Mr.
council.
Mayor, so this will all depend if the council members are okay with that resolution, then we can decide if we invite 1 or 2, and I can contact them, or you can contact, there's no problem. Or if other members had other suggestions, but the date is over, so
Yeah.
we'll receive 2.
No, at this point in time, I mean, it's before our council meeting anyways. I think, you know, usually we give 15 minutes, a half hour. I don't think we really want to go much later than that. I'd say put both names in a hat, pick one, and that's the winner this year, but definitely, you know, hopefully they're both available next year.
Yeah. If I could just add, the other person was fine. They said, you know, if it doesn't work, they're okay with not coming, because the Russell Male Choir was the one that said they would perform. But and then there was Jennifer Long. She's a singer, guitar player.
Okay.
So we'll ask her to come next year.
So at this point in time, everybody's okay with modifying the resolution from 2012 so that it doesn't apply to the first meeting, election year, because obviously we have stuff that we're doing before. So
But just making sure that we let them know right away that we want only 1 for this year.
yeah, I think at this point in time, nothing was confirmed either or. So
No, and it's 10 to 15 minutes, the time we have in the old resolution.
So
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, perfect. All right, everybody's okay with that? Okay. Item I, Human Resources Firefighter Working Condition Program and Revised Establishing Bylaw Report CAO 17-2018. The council receives report CAO 17-2018 dated November 19th, 2018, and approves the new revised Establishing Fire and Rescue Bylaw with its new Human Resources Firefighting Working Conditions Program as Schedule H. And that council approves as recommended the proposed bylaw to update the Russell and Emblem Fire Department appointments and repeal bylaw 2018-108. Questions, members of council? Councillor Paul?
I just wanted to compliment staff and the fire department putting that all together. It's quite a lot of work for the whole procedural stuff, and it's well done.
Good. Yes, a lot of work, I believe. Monsieur Leduc went into this.
Well, at least a year worth of work in reviewing and discussing and challenging each other to agree on something, so that was good.
Other questions, comments, members, council? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter, Monsieur Leduc?
Mr. Mayor, members of council. So basically, this is similar to what the staff have had in their other working conditions bylaw. These were more specific because some things in the Employment Standards Act don't apply to firefighters and those kind of things. So there were some exceptions taken out from this bylaw. But basically, we're quite satisfied to put that on paper now, and firefighters will know their working conditions when they work for the township.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Everything good on your end, Chief? Perfect. Glad to see everybody work together to make this happen. Move on to the next item. Item J, presentation the strategic plan report card, report CAO 18-2018. That council receives report CAO 18-2018 dated November 19th, 2018. Monsieur Leduc, I'll let you lead the charge on this one and present the update on the how we did in the last term of council.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Donc, ça fait déjà 4 ans que le conseil siège. Et c'est la dernière rencontre. Puis je trouvais que c'était approprié de faire un sommaire rapide sur le compte-rendu du plan stratégique 2015-2018. So, from all these 4 years of hard work and decision-making and budget approvals, we've come up with some final update on the strategic plan and its report card. So basically, I just like to go slide by slide, not going to go through any items except asking questions, asking council if they have any questions, and department heads will answer if I can't respond to the questions. Thing to note is that whatever you've seen started, unstarted, that they will be brought back into our discussions when we do the 2019-2022 strategic plan. So it's not going to go away unless council tells us directly, I would like to have that removed and we no longer want to pursue this project, then it'll be pushed away. If not, it'll be just reported to the next strategic plan. So then we can start, Mr. Mayor.
Oui.
If we go, we have, as people know, we have 5 pillars in our as main strategic leads into our plan. So the first one is about developing and renewing infrastructure. And before we go, remember we did this plan back in November 16 to 15. It was fairly new to your nomination. Donc, dans développer et renouveler l'infrastructure, vous voyez à la page 4 de la présentation les résultats accomplis. Et à la page 5, les items pour lesquels on travaille toujours et pour lesquels on n'a pas débuté. So, Mr. Mayor, if members of council have any questions on these 2 pages.
I think I just want to make a note that while there are some things that weren't done in the strategic plan, I think council knows everything else that we added onto the staff's plate from the get-go. There's a lot of things that we asked them to do that weren't in the original strategic plan. You know, the first thing that I see in the strategic plan, approve the Sports Dome project. I think we went well beyond that. A lot of time was devoted to actually having it built this term, not simply approving it, but actually having it in operation during our term. And I think, you know, we have to keep in mind that there's a lot of added things that were not part of our original strategic plan that staff have been working on. So I congratulate the staff on a job well done, even though council keeps adding stuff. You know, maybe that should be something for the future. Monsieur Leduc is making note of when you do a presentation like this, also adding everything else that got added by council that wasn't part of the strategic plan, but it has definitely an impact on the strategic plan. So,
Mr. Mayor, that's true, but also we do report annually on our annual business
plan.
So which shows the additions and requests from council. So
Yeah.
There's 2 different reports coming to council and to the public regarding how we achieve our objectives.
Our objectives. Well, we have a member from the media here today, so perhaps he'll ask for a copy of the business plan as well to see what has been added to the strategic plan over the last 4 years. Questions on these 2 slides, members of council? Councillor Associate?
Yeah, it was just one on page 5. It said the new 417 access not started. Like, is that something that's in the works, or?
No, that was a former traffic study conducted probably in 2012, 2013 about an exit either on Saint-Pierre or from, what's the other street?
Saint-Guillaume,
Saint-Thomas.
So
Divine.
Divine Road exit or a St. Pierre exit on the 417. So that was done way back prior to us being here. Maybe Mr. Lorraine may be the only one who was there, maybe when that was discussed. So that was an idea floating around back in 2015. Should we look at this or not? And in the last 4 years, we have not looked at that.
But will it be staying on the strategic plan as a possibility of
That
looking?
will be an item being reported to the next plan, and council will debate if that's an issue
Okay.
that needs to be pursued or not.
Okay, thank you. Merci.
Councillor Lorrain?
I definitely think it might be a good idea to keep that one on, only because if there's a way to get another exit at some point in time, with Boundary Road being log jammed with hundreds of transport trucks daily going to Amazon, and then further if there's a recycling center or landfill right beside it, I think that'll be additional traffic for our residents to have to deal with, and to be able to add another way to get home would probably be very well received by the public.
Monsieur Leduc?
Yeah, there have been significant changes to the environment, the social environment since that study. So we could add some new detail on this and research more to see if the province is receptive to some of these considerations or not. But certainly we'll look at that in our next discussion.
And it was St. Augustine was what we were looking at back then.
St. Augustine.
Yeah, St. Augustine to keep going straight and getting an exit there. So
Was it St. Augustine or was
Yeah.
it St. Thomas?
no.
Well, that's
between
the two, but it
was more St. Augustine, but
Okay, I just had,
studied both.
yeah, I just
it
had
wasn't
St.
for-
Thomas in my mind because there's St. Thomas continues on the other side of the highway. So, but definitely something staff can look at when we go in that direction. OK. Autre question, ces deux slides-là. Monsieur Leduc, tu peux continuer.
Donc, on a eu aussi le prochain pilier, c'est soutenir les collectivités en santé, so foster healthy communities. Donc, vous voyez à la page 7 de ce qu'on a réussi à faire à ce niveau-là. Et à la page 8 are the items that are still ongoing or completed. So,
Conseiller Brisson?
Ouais, c'est ça, à page 7, il parle, il a complété la fermeture du site d'enfouissement. C'est juste savoir à quel point est-ce que c'est complété pour le site.
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourgon?
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Donc, pour répondre à votre question, conseiller Brisson, le dépotoir est maintenant officiellement fermé depuis plus d'1 an. Ici, notre approbation a été modifiée par le ministère l'année passée.
Parce que ma question était que quand on a eu la discussion avec Monsieur le maire et Monsieur le Duc, étant fermé comme ça, est-ce qu'il y a une possibilité que cette montagne-là soit replantée en arbres?
Monsieur
qu'il y a
Leduc,
des-
Monsieur Bourgon?
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Donc, j'ai pas la réponse pour vous ce soir, mais certainement quelque chose qui pourrait être vérifié là, auprès du ministère.
OK. Donc, c'est juste savoir si on a des contraintes, que ça serait une place à mettre. Puis, comme autour du dépotoir, est-ce que c'est un terrain qu'on utilise? Je sais qu'un bout de temps, c'était utilisé comme pour le compostage, puis ces choses-là. Est-ce que...
Monsieur Bourgon?
Présentement, c'est du terrain vacant, là, du terrain non utilisé, mais qui demeure quand même la propriété là, du dépotoir. Donc, ma réponse s'applique à toute cette terre-là, exactement.
Alors, il y aurait possibilité de regarder à des options futures pour ce site-là, voir qu'est-ce qui est possible ou qu'est-ce qui n'est pas possible. Ouais.
OK.
Merci.
Parfait.
D'autres questions, commentaires? Cancer? Non? Non? On peut continuer, Monsieur Leduc?
Ensuite, le troisième pilier, the third pillar would be grow local economy. And on slide 11 and 12, we do show what's been completed and also what's ongoing and being looked at right now.
Question. Councillor Saucier?
Yeah, so the welcome wagon is completed. How are we reaching the residents, the new residents that are coming in and, you know, giving them this package or?
At this point, there's a few methods. One is that whenever somebody comes to the front desk on their own, asking for information, then the reception staff will provide them with the package. I know that EcoDev sometimes will remit to some of the developers some of these packages so that any newcomers into the new home will get those packages and they'll know where to go or have on hand information that they're seeking. And the third, I think there are also maybe some information there on the website also regarding welcome wagons. And finally, what we're trying to implement is at least a couple of open house or public meetings a year where, as you see there, ongoing, where we're planning to have. We'll be here available for anybody who wants to come in, discuss this community, and ask questions. So that's kind of the third step in getting Welcome Wagon done.
Yeah, I really like that idea because I know some residents did come to one of the open houses and they said, you know, they found out so much about the community just by attending that.
Yeah.
So
we made a search for volunteers this summer. So we've had people who signed up for that kind of activity. So we'll be following up with these people to see when we're ready to say, well, this is how we'd like to go ahead and have these people trained and respond to questions with staff.
Okay, merci.
D'autres questions, commentaires? Conseiller Brisson?
Justement, quand il parlait du Welcome Wagon, est-ce que c'est comme juste de l'information qui est donnée dessus? Est-ce qu'il y a des entreprises qui auraient été approchées de dire, OK, ben dans le Welcome Wagon, il y a là, des réductions pour les marchands locaux dans votre région, tout ça? Est-ce qu'on aurait une chance aussi même de, personnellement, de le voir? Qu'est-ce qui est disponible dans ce Welcome Wagon-là? C'est de quoi que je n'ai pas vu.
Oui.
Que justement, s'il y en a des nouveaux qui disent, ben, savoir qu'est-ce qu'il y a dedans. Puis...
Monsieur Leduc?
Définitivement que je peux remettre au conseil le package complet, mais on a aussi incorporé le profil communautaire qui parle de toutes les entreprises et tout le reste. Donc, oui, dans le futur, sûrement qu'on pourrait considérer aller chercher des gens qui sont prêts à donner des rabais, des coupons rabais, autre chose. Là. On peut compléter ça à ce niveau-là, mais par exemple, on n'était pas rendu là encore.
C'est juste qu'on ait une idée un peu, parce que justement, je n'étais pas au courant de qu'est-ce qui est disponible avec ces choses-là, ou que ça donne. Ça fait que c'est dur de dire comme de qu'est-ce qui manque ou qu'est-ce qu'on aimerait avoir dedans. J'aimerais avoir la possibilité justement de voir ces choses-là.
Okay.
Puis justement, comme conseillère associée, un open meeting pour les nouveaux, je crois que c'est par district, on peut dire aussi. Ça, je pense que ça serait très intéressant pour le monde.
Okay. Parfait. Merci beaucoup. D'autres questions, commentaires? Non? Vous pouvez continuer, Monsieur Leduc.
The fourth pillar, which is increased financial stability, I guess we've done well there. We've ticked off, crossed off all our items that we had to look at. So there's none that's unstarted or that's been reported to next project or next strategic plan. So therefore, Council had any questions on page 14.
So essentially, we have to put our thinking caps on and give you more jobs to do. Is that correct? For financial?
Well, you have not seen the 5-year operational and capital plans, but they're ready, and they'll be given to you at the next budget presentations on the 14th of January. So you'll see those together.
Okay. Thank you very much. Questions, commentaires? Conseiller Brisson?
Pour commencer, à page 14, en bas, c'est le système GIS. C'est quoi ce système-là?
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourgon?
Merci, M. le maire. Donc, c'est le système qui nous permet de localiser toute notre infrastructure. Donc, c'est des coordonnées pour chaque... L'acronyme, c'est un peu comme le Global Positioning, là, si tu veux. Donc, si on pense à chaque manhole, on a des coordonnées pour toutes ces infrastructures-là, puis c'est mis dans un système, puis on a des layers, des couches de chaque type d'infrastructure.
Ah, OK.
Monsieur le conseiller Lorrain?
Since we're talking about that, I got a quick question. Do we have a list, or is it something that we could have for budget this year, of every single one of our vehicles, who who has them, which department, and like how old they are, like just a master list, because I don't know if that's something that I've ever seen before. So
We do have that type of information with our asset management, so it's all info that could be provided.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Monsieur Leduc?
Well, we're about to finalize our fleet management also policy. Also, some vehicles now do have GIS location systems in them, so we can now report as to when they were on which street, what time, what speed they were going at, those kinds of things. We now have some of these vehicles equipped with that technology to answer those questions. So we're looking at every vehicle to have those, but at this point, none. A good portion of the fleet do have them.
Parfait.
Did
Conseiller Brisson?
they put it to the one that is patching the hole to see where the hole were? And
I think by Monsieur Bourgon's reaction, he has that information. OK. Prochaine section, Monsieur Leduc?
Monsieur le maire, la dernière section, donc, c'est promouvoir l'efficacité des services, so promoting our service effectiveness. Again, on page 16 and page 17 are the results of our work on this. So, any questions?
Question, conseiller associé.
Yeah, just the one about council to adopt the social organization committee, and then it said it was not pursued, and I was just had a question, like, can you clarify that?
Yeah, in the first year of the mandate, we had put into the budget a social committee coordinator, and that position was not approved by council, as we had tried to get the associations of all the township together and have somebody coordinate that. So we had some difficulty getting that going, and at that time also the RAISER, the Regroupement d'Associations Embrun-Russell, got started up, and they started to meet, and we thought that maybe something would come out of that, and finally after a year and a half it kind of died down, so we did not pursue further. So we had thought about it and worked on it a bit, and with that initiative we thought it was going to go somewhere, and finally it did not. So this might be a subject for rediscussion for the next strategic plan proposal.
Conseiller Brisson?
yeah, because I think it will be good to have, without having a organization, but if the council will have one meeting per year with all our association and group, that they can share with us the work that they do or they have done during the year, and what if there's some requests or some challenge that I met. I think it would be good, because I know I've been to some other conference, and that's what they were doing at once a year. They had that meeting, all the group together, and just like share. And they say that was one of the best thing, because then they were able to, each club could know what the other one were doing. And there's some that didn't even knew that some of the club did exist, or some organization, and even for the councillor and the staff. So I think it will be a good initiative to think about for
Yep.
the upcoming years.
Yeah, definitely be part that discussion as part of our strategic plan. Anything to add? Monsieur Leduc, continuez.
So, on arrive, Monsieur le maire, à la page sommaire des résultats, donc on est à la page 18. Donc, vous voyez en pourcentage ce qui est complété, en progrès et puis non débuté. So, 68% does represent 48 actions that were completed. 22% equals 16 actions, and 7 were not started. So this is the overall result of council's strategic plan.
Thank you very much, Monsieur Leduc. So 90% of what we asked for at the beginning of our term is complete or currently being worked on. And as I mentioned earlier, we added quite a few things to the business plan along the way. So I'm quite impressed and happy with the results. Good job, Monsieur Leduc and your team. It's we know we throw a lot at you, and you guys delivered, and I'm quite happy with the results. Monsieur Leduc.
Merci, Monsieur le maire, membre du conseil, and thanks to staff also. I think it just shows that when you have a plan or a map to follow, like a strategic plan and a business plan, you get to achieve more. And I have to say to you that I've heard that comment a lot in the campaign, where I've been told that council has done lots in the last 4 years, but probably with having maps or of actions like plans like this sets us in the right direction. And if you aim it, you may achieve it.
Thank you very much. Conseiller Lorrain.
Did you, when that first came out, did you set a goal at all in terms of what number should be achieved in terms of completed and or in progress, or was it just something to play out for the first term, or?
Well, like, you know, you sent this out for 4 years ahead. So you don't exactly know if you'll have the budgets, you have the resource, you may have some staff departure, you may have staff additions, you may have all kinds of environmental, circumstantial, government changes, all kinds of things that happen that prevents you from achieving something. So it's hard to say I'm looking for, but that could be something to discuss. And then in our next plan, do we want to have kind of a percentage of achievement? That means something that we may want to add to it if you want. But there was none at that time.
Okay. It was just in my mind just something that you're striving to, right? So.
I think in my mind we strive for 100%, but.
I was going to be a little bit softer on you, Mr. Leduc, and say 95 for the next term, but he wants 100, so.
No, but you know, when we look at what was done, and for example, I give the sports dome. You know, we're talking about approving the sports dome, and now we're talking it had been completed. Like how much of the resource of the administration was put on that project, whereas you know it might have been able to finish other things on that strategic plan had it not been all concentrated on the dome, right? But council gave the direction to get that done, and you know, so we, you know, 90% of what we've done, but on a lot of things we've gone beyond what was on the strategic plan. So I think that has to be recognized as well. Monsieur Leduc?
Mr. Mayor, I'll be happy to correct Mr. Lorrain. This is your plan because council's plan is a strategic plan and the administration one is the business plan. So if you want to set your target at 95%, then you will get directions to achieve 95%.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leduc. Any other questions or comments on this item? No? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter, Monsieur Leduc? Perfect. Thank you so much. Move on to next item, item K, indexation of the development charges rates. Mr.
I just
Leduc?
may want to add that we'll be working at getting this new plan by June 2019. So for the next term, we'll set a calendar and propose to council dates that we can meet to discuss this and have it in place by June 2019.
Yeah, and as you pointed out earlier, Mr. Leduc, I think it is extremely important when we do our strategic plan to, you know, realize that these are the targets we're setting. This is what we want to go, and you know, when you set goals and you hit targets, and we're going in the direction. Councillor Saucier.
Yeah, I just realized I had another question here on the. It said on K, some municipal buildings have recycling. So we're not in our own buildings recycling in all of them?
Monsieur Leduc?
It depends how you define buildings, because, for example, this building does have recycling. If you consider for example, a pumping station as a building, you probably have none. If you consider, for example, maybe the rec get-together off a building there at the park, Yahoo, for example, I don't think there is any there, but maybe there is. So some small buildings may not, and the bigger ones do have some. So we'd like to have that across to have a standard practice. But.
And as well, we have a couple of municipal buildings which we're renting out. So do those have recycling at those facilities? We're not sure. Okay. Other questions, comments? No? Move on to item K. Indexation of the development charges rates, report FS 47 2018. The council received report FS 47 2018 dated November 19, 2018. Adopts a proposed bylaw to amend Schedule C1 of the user fees bylaw and approve an increase of 6.3% to the development charges effective January 1st, 2019. I'll let Monsieur Godin give us some information on this file.
Oui, merci, Monsieur le Maire. Donc, essentiellement, c'est un rapport qu'on rapporte à chaque année. So we're bringing this report every year. We're basically following our DC bylaw, which states that every January 1st of every year, we're going to adjust the rates based on construction price statistics. So, as you probably noticed, this year the rate is quite a bit higher than it has been in previous years. but we're bringing the bylaw as it's proposed, as stated in the DC bylaw. So what we're saying here is that the DC rates are going up 6.3% as of January 1st, based on the formula that we've been using since we've had DCs.
Okay, merci, Monsieur Godin. I guess I have a couple of questions. This is coming, the rate is coming from StatsCan, and it's the building construction price indexes percentage change quarterly, and we see that it went up 6.3%. Do we know what impacts those changes?
Well, there's a lot of different factors. Basically, well, inflation in the country is as high as it has been in the last 7 years at the moment. But I mean, the prices, this is based on construction prices for non-residential, gas prices, I mean, energy, all of that stuff kind of obviously goes into the calculation. I don't know exactly which criteria they take and how much weight do they put on each of them, but a combination of things is how they come up with these indexes. But essentially it's to reflect the prices that we're expected to pay for these projects that we do have listed in our capital projects list for the development charges.
Okay. And my second question is, if we were not to increase this 6.3%, what would be the impact?
Well, essentially, the way I see it, if we don't increase it now, the risk is that there's going to be a shortfall in the amounts that we collect from DCs when we get to going forward with those projects. I mean, if the prices keep on going up the way they are now, when we get to put the shovel in the ground for those projects, the prices are going to be higher than what we've identified in the DCs. So basically, there's going to be a shortfall there, so we'll have to fund it from other resources.
Okay. Conseiller Brisson, then conseiller Lorrain.
Quand que tu parles que justement avec la chose les statistiques pour les frais de développement, mais pourquoi que on se base sur les non-residential buildings seulement? Parce que les frais de DC, la plupart, c'est même dans la chose qui se fait, c'est plus du résidentiel. Là, ça vient de pourquoi qu'on se fie sur le non-résidentiel.
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin.
Ah oui, bien essentiellement, je veux dire, les coûts que nous, on engendre, dans les projets qui sont listés dans notre étude de DC, c'est pas les constructions de maisons comme telles, mais c'est tous les frais que les constructions que nous, comme les routes, les
complexes,
les parking stations, puis les affaires comme ça, que c'est vraiment du non-résidentiel. Je suis d'accord avec toi que c'est les résidents qui vont payer, comme c'est les développeurs pour le résidentiel souvent qui vont payer ce frais-là, mais les projets que nous, comme les coûts qu'on engendre, c'est pas les coûts pour la construction résidentielle.
OK. Conseiller Lorrain, puis on va revenir.
2 questions. My first question is, you mentioned that if we don't increase it by 6.3%, we will end up with a shortfall at the end of the time that we have the DC in place. Right? That's the risk. And we put in the last DC study in, when did we put that in?
The last DC study was in December of 2016.
So in December 2016. And in December 2016, we had calculated out a 6.3% increase for 2019?
No.
What increase did we calculate?
So in 2016, when we did the DC study,
Yes.
we calculated the construction costs for our capital projects list based on 2016 prices.
Right.
So every year after that, so in 2017, in December, we brought back our report to council
Yep.
to reflect the inflation from 2016 to 2017,
Which was how much?
which was 2.8%, or 2.8%.
2.8%, 16 to 17. Right?
Yeah, so just to be clear, since the bylaw was adopted in 2016 in December,
Mm-hmm.
the year 2017, those were the rates. So at the end of 2017, for the year 2018, we updated to 2.8%.
Okay.
Now for the year 2019, we're proposing 6.3.
Okay. So I'm having a hard time understanding where we would end up with a shortfall based on the DC study when we didn't anticipate a 6.3% increase in 2019.
So,
If we didn't anticipate these specific amounts of increases over that 5-year period, then we can't have a shortfall at the end. Right?
Right, so what I'm saying is a shortfall would come when we do the actual construction. Right? So, and that construction could happen in 2022, 2023, or further down the line, right? The reason we're, and this was done with the consultants in the way it's drafted in the bylaw, the reason we're doing it yearly is so that there's less of an impact when we do it every 5 years, right? Because we're gonna do the DC study every 5 years.
Yep.
So in 2021, if we would have that exact same project list in 2021, essentially we could expect that the anticipated cost would go up more than 6.3, right? They would go up from that 6.3,
Right.
the 2.8 from 2018, and the 0.9 from
But
the
let's
year prior.
But let's be clear on the risk factor. The risk factor is regardless of whether we increase anything over those 5 years, that we end up with a shortfall at the end of the year. The risk isn't us not increasing it by 6.3% will cause a shortfall at the end. We already know going in, when you base it on 2016 pricing for the next 5 years, that there will be a shortfall to construct in 2021 or 2022, whatever time frame that we're going to build anything. So regardless of how much we go up or down or we don't go up, there's going to be an anticipated shortfall at the end.
Just to correct, or if I understand correctly, that's the reason for this clause, is so that at the end of 5 years, there is no shortfall.
Oh, I totally understand that process, because I was on council when there was no indexing and we didn't have the proper DC charges in place, and we had to put those in place. And then we didn't index for about 4 years or 5 years, whatever that time frame is, and then we had to catch up again. So I totally understand the indexing piece. What I'm saying is, and I don't know if this is along the lines where you were going, Mr. Mayor, but the number of 6.3, we're just grabbing this number from these locations. I think what council should do is set a percentage annual increase for the term every time they put it through. And that way there, we know what those increases are, the developers know what those increases are going forward. Because if we come in with a 2.8 and then a 6.3 and then a 12.5, how do you justify those variances?
Through Mr. Mayor. Well, I'm sure that's a way we could do it. My counter argument to that is nobody was expecting to have 6.3% this year. It could be 8% next year, we don't know. If we would have used 2%, for example, which would have been reasonable because the last few years have been around there. At the end of the day, when we redo the study every 5 years, that's where we adjust, because when we do the study in 2021, we're going to do it based on the prices in 2021 and based on the funds that we have in our reserve that were collected the previous 5 years. So by indexing it at a lower number, we would have collected less, so our rate would be increased at that point in time. So I understand if we want stability and less surprises for the developers, that's the way we could go forward with it. I think myself, I like the formula we have now, which means we're basically adjusting every year based on the current year's the actual year's actuality. So if the prices went up 6.3 in the last 12 months, I tend to agree that we should increase the prices by 6.3 to follow that suit. But the more stable option is also an option.
So if I understand that thought process properly, if we don't charge now, it's pay me now or pay me later, essentially. Because if we don't, for example, if we only said 2%, 2%, 2%, and there's an 8% difference in 4 years or 5 years when you do the DC charge, we'll see an 8% increase at that point in time, assuming that the rates were.
Yeah, so when we would reopen the DC study and when we would reevaluate our projects and the prices of those projects and the growth component going forward, basically that future growth would absorb the extra costs that weren't collected there.
Monsieur Leduc?
You're right to say pay me now, pay me later, but the difference is the payers.
Yeah.
Those who are here now get to pay now. If they're not there in 5 years from now, then they will let somebody else pay for them. So somebody who's building right now is not, runs out of property to build, and somebody else goes in, then this person does not pay that user fee, and the next person comes in and has to pick up the tab because they weren't paid by the proper user. So for me, the payer will matter over time, not necessarily how much.
Councillor Paul?
Yeah, it's the Development Charges Act itself that lays out the rules for indexing for inflation, and you can do it once to twice a year. So when we are in high inflation like this, we could do it twice a year and do 3% in a case where it's running at 6.3%. So we could divide that out as a council and say, no, we're going to do it twice a year because inflation's very high. If inflation's low, it's not going to make much of a difference over a year. You could probably do it once a year, but when inflation's high, it might be wiser to collect halfway through, increase it, and then the next halfway through, increase it, so that you're not losing that inflationary index as you're going. So when you do go to build, you have the money. I strongly recommend you always go with inflation at least as a minimum and follow that.
Okay. Other questions? Conseiller Brisson?
And I can understand, like, the example that this year it went so high too, like the price of steel went up fast, and even the, comme le prix minimum, le wage minimum a remonté, fait que ça rentre tout en jeu dans les augmentations, puis que là, justement, si on va pas avec ces augmentations-là, comme graduelles là, après ça, c'est que c'est ceux comme c'est là qui vont le ramasser, autrement que s'ils attendent trop, le chose va être, le gap va venir bien plus grand pour être ramassé. La seule autre question que j'avais aussi, quand que tu regardes dans les choses de statistiques, il parle de la différence entre le Q2, Q3. C'est quoi ces choses-là?
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin, that's the quarters, first 3 months, second 3 months, comme janvier, mars, avril, puis après ça, Q2, c'est
Ouais.
mai, juin, juillet.
Donc, tu regardes au 2.5 versus le 6.3, c'est ça?
Oui.
Le 2.5,
Ouais.
donc, so the 2.5 index that we're looking at is the change in prices from Q2 to Q3 in 2018. So, dans le fond, c'est les prix qui ont été établis au mois de mai 2018 versus les prix au mois de août 2018. Tandis que le 6.3, c'est de Q3 2017 à Q3 2018. Donc, c'est pour le dernier 12 mois, vraiment. Donc, si, par exemple, ça revient au point, M. Paul, si on voulait faire des augmentations plus régulières, on servirait peut-être du Q2 au Q3, puis après ça, du Q3 au Q4. Mais là, on serait rendu avec plusieurs indexations.
Ouais. Je pense que c'est plus simple une fois. C'est pour ça que je me demandais c'était quoi quand il y a mais c'est les termes. Puis ils ne comparent pas entre le premier et le troisième, ils vont entre les deux autres. C'est qu'en l'ayant un terme ben, que tu bâtis pour les frais de développement au printemps ou à l'automne, c'est dans l'année.
D'autres questions, commentaires, membres du Conseil? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter, M. Leduc, M. Godin? Non. Je vais demander qu'on remove item K to be further discussed and voted on separately. We'll move on to item 12, notice of motions, we have none. Item 13, question period for the meeting of the day. If anybody has any questions, to please come up to the lectern and state your name and address for the record, please.
Harry Baker, 208 Forest Road, Russell. Foster healthy communities, that part of the strategic plan. There's 2 items there on the first page of that one, and 2 items that I would like to ask about is develop heritage standards policies. I believe there's been some action done on that, but I don't see anything in the report card on that item.
Just give me a second, I'm just bringing up the presentation here. What page are you referencing, Mr.
I'm not
Vic?
sure that it's page 122 of the whole agenda, but I don't know what page it is of that particular report. Foster healthy communities in English, it's called.
We're just looking for it here.
I think it's the second or third pillar.
right there?
Yeah, so there's nothing in that, and so the page just before that has things listed. This has strategies, but on that page there, the second item is develop heritage standards policies. I'm assuming that's what's going on with the heritage conservation districts and things?
Monsieur Leduc?
Yes, and also council has to acknowledge that at one point in time, we had come up and prepare a report for policy to be adopted, and council voted it down. So from our perspective, from the administration perspective, we presented to council the policy and the strategy. It may not have been voted on or something, but at least it was conducted and brought in front of council, and it's still continuing now with the new direction of council to reconsider and getting new feedback on that. So that's why we say it's done, because we did submit to council that study.
It's done maybe, but I don't see it in the report card as being done. There are things in the report card that are done, and I don't see
You're
that
talking
item.
about the boxes in yellow, green.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
So il parle juste que c'est pas dans les cases.
And the other item is,
Maybe for clarity, Mr. Mayor, all those have a check mark green on that page are all done. And I only want to show on the next page when it's red or yellow that they were being in progress or not done. But sometimes I was showing a green line because it was kind of a split one where, for example, if you look at the page 8 of the report, review the daycare services delivery, okay? So we did add a new daycare, preschool and after school, and then a new preschool program. So that was done. So I could not say it was underway because that was completed. That's why I put that green there. It could have been placed in the first page, but they would have split the
So instead of showing just yellow and red, you inserted green every now and then?
No, not. It's when they had 2 or 3 or more action in the same line, I had to show that some were completed and some were underway.
so thanks for that clarification. The next item is 2 below that, the execute tree planting program. Unfortunate translation to the English, execute trees. I think the township's doing a good job on that. But why has that got a green tick mark beside it then?
Yeah, you got to be back in 2015. We had Trees for Tomorrow, and also we had a fund to plant trees in the landfill site location, and we had I think $15,000 or $20,000 from Trees for Tomorrow to be planted. So if you put yourselves back into 2015, all we had in mind back then was to have those trees planted for the amount of money we had there. So again, that particular action back in that 2015 time, it's been completed. Now, it doesn't mean we are stopping to plant trees, and we're not executing trees, like you said. But
it's your term, not mine.
Well, you said that first, sir.
Yeah.
And we are continuing. So therefore, we feel this is completed.
Okay.
Merci. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Charles Armstrong, Castle Street in Russell. My question is on the development charges. Our development charges are for various services such as administration, police services, bylaw enforcement, fire services, roads and related, et cetera, et cetera. Do they vary in accordance with the construction price index? Is the construction price index a useful index in which to raise or lower development charges?
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin.
Oui, merci, Monsieur Maire. So basically, we do, just to answer the question, we do use the same index for the ensemble of the DCs for all services. I mean, is it a good tool? I think it still represents, I mean, if the overall inflation goes up, technically or typically usually the construction pricing index will go up. If it goes down, it'll usually follow. Are there discrepancies between services? There could be, but each different department have different kinds of projects for which we could use different kind of indexes. So I think it was wise to have a consistent approach and use one index for the whole of DCs.
Okay, merci beaucoup.
Why was the construction price index chosen as opposed to any of the other ones?
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin, why was the construction index? I'm assuming it's based on the consultant's recommendation.
Yes, it was a consultant recommendation, and when the race did go out, I've consulted with my colleagues as well in other municipalities, and they also follow that same index. I know Ottawa raised the rates by 6.2 as well. And discussed with Rockland, who haven't gone through yet, but they are, the treasurer will be proposing the same thing over there as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Question?
Ronald Patnaud, 900 route 500 Russell. C'est pour justement l'indexation. C'est basé, je comprends que c'est basé dessus les coûts de construction de services, comme les égouts, cette affaire-là, probablement. Mais nous autres, en tant que développeurs, moi, j'ai payé pour mes services en avance. C'est ça, de quelle façon que ça l'affecte les services qui sont déjà payés pour, comme l'eau municipale que j'ai, puis les frais de lagoon que j'ai payés en avance. Ces frais-là sont-ils affectés, étant donné qu'ils ont déjà été payés ou donc si...
Bonne question. Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin.
Merci, M. le maire. Donc, pour répondre à votre question, dans le fond, les frais qui ont été payés d'avance, au moment qu'ils ont été payés, il y a un montant qui a été calculé comme rabais, si tu veux, pour pas qu'on charge les frais d'intérêt, dans le fond, qu'on a économisés en ayant ces frais-là d'avance. Donc, c'est comme les discussions qu'on a eues auparavant aussi, puis l'approche qu'on a, c'est quand même qu'on s'ajuste. Le montant d'unité que vous avez basé ces frais-là, il est ajusté au moment que le taux est ajusté. Donc, je comprends que c'est des frais qui ont été payés d'avance, puis que dans le fond, ça a quand même été payé d'avance pour la liste de projets de construction qu'il y a dans les frais de développement. Donc, l'approche reste quand même consistante de charger la différence.
Okay. Mais les services qu'on utilise en ce moment, dessus mes terrains que j'ai comme c'est là, on a changé l'infrastructure, c'est fait, c'est payé pour. Il parle de user's fee. Ça fait que l'user's fee, moi, j'ai payé pour ça. Ça fait que là, si la hausse s'applique pour le futur, bien, quand je vais développer un autre terrain dans le futur, je comprends qu'il faut que je paye pour ce terrain-là. Mais qu'est-ce que j'ai déjà payé pour, puis c'est déjà fait, ça ne sera pas besoin d'être increase, là, d'être agrandi pour mes terrains qui sont déjà payés pour, puis qui sont en construction en ce moment. C'est comme quand tu vends une maison, puis tu dis au gars, ben, regarde, le coût de construction a monté, là. On va vous charger 1000 $ la maison pour votre maison parce que les prix futurs, ils vont monter. C'est la même chose que vous faites, là.
So, Monsieur Godin, Madame Tremblay, vous avez-il des commentaires?
Non, pour ma part, non. Je veux dire, on a conclu une entente, puis je veux dire, on s'est entendu sur les termes de l'entente, donc je sais pas, je sais pas quoi ajouter à ce point-ci.
Okay. Conseiller Lorrain?
Based on that question, in the agreement that was signed for the prepayment of I'm assuming it's the sewer allocations, correct? There was no prepayment on the water, it was just on the sewer. So on the prepayment allocations that the developers did on the sewer, when that agreement was done, was it a down payment on those DC charges based on what was there, and it would just be a rebate of any future increases? Or was it a set number that you're getting, I'm just going to use the term, 100 allocations for that cost, and that covers those 100 allocations? I just want to make sure it was specific in that agreement that it wasn't to guarantee those 100 allocations with zero indexing. Does that make sense? And I'm assuming that's the question you're asking.
That's a question I'm asking. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Monsieur Godin?
Oui, merci. Donc, to come back to the agreement, so the terms in the agreement, basically you are buying a fixed amount of allocation at a fixed number. So basically you can buy 150 units and you're paying so-and-so $1 million. There is a clause further into the agreement where it says that every 5 years or less, the DC study is reopened and the rates are subject to change, and that at that point an adjustment will be made. So basically saying that if you do apply for a building permit later on with a future DC with a different rate, that you would pay the difference between the two.
Okay. So then
In 5 years.
So there's two things there, right? So it says is it 5 years, or is it every year that it's indexed over those periods?
So,
Godin?
wait, excuse me. So essentially, it's 5 years or less when the DC study is done. Puis avec ton commentaire, M. Padnon, I think, and honestly, I might have to look at the numbers just to confirm this, but we don't adjust your units based on indexing. We're just adjusting them when we do reopen the DC study, as we did in 2016. We made an adjustment there. Since then, those units have been issued, and the difference between a 2016 and a 2014 or whatever was paid back then was charged. But every year we don't charge the difference for indexing. Sorry, I'm pretty sure of this, but I will confirm just to make sure we're on the same page.
Conseiller Lorrain?
So then to confirm, I think the first question was, does this $1,000 increase on the singles and semis, that is excluding water and sewer, or sewer at least, in that $1,000 increase? Is that what you're saying then, based on the comment you just made?
So yeah, what I'm saying is it would exclude the sewer portion that on units that were prepaid.
On units that were prepaid?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
So yeah, so on units that were prepaid, this indexing does not apply, but every 5 years, you will have to bear the cost
I understand
on
that,
those
but
prepaid
in 5
units.
years, you have eliminated a lot of your
Right.
lots, so that you.
On the remaining.
On the remaining.
Remain, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other question I have, let me think here. That's something else in my mind. Oh, yeah, the thing about the 2 year, like he suggested, like,
Twice a year.
twice a year. That makes sense too for us, because right now I have 30 houses sold for the spring. So before January 1st, I can drop in 30 application on your desk, and I guess you can't do that, eh? Why not?
She's shaking her head, but I understand the business side of things.
So, and those prices that we have now have to be respected. Am I right? Okay?
That's correct.
So knowing, because we didn't sell these houses thinking that the price would come up $1,000. And it gives us a time, so when the second increase come, we can adjust our price for the second part of the year. So it would make total sense to have it twice a year. It gives us a chance as a builder, because, you know, when you take $1,000 off, you don't take it off the selling price. You take it off the profit. Okay? So it adds up. So if you build 50 homes, it's 50,000 at the end of the year.
So in a year like this year, where we see that there's quite an increase, it might be something to look at, where we put something in the clause of the bylaw where we could re-index twice a year if need be in certain circumstances. Would that be an option?
Oui, Mr. Maire, donc it's definitely an option. I mean, it's not the way it's worded in the bylaw, but absolutely we could speak with our consultants and see what we can do. And basically every year, instead of waiting until the August indexing, we could have a look at the May indexing, and if we see a big increase there, maybe we say if it's more than 3%, well, we have to act now.
And that I understand at 3%, you know, like, I can live with that.
Yeah, so you might see a 3% at the beginning of the year and a further 3%, like in this case, if we had done it this way.
For a year like this.
Right.
Because this year, for sure, everything went up a lot due to everything that went on, and construction was crazy this year. You can't even have a trade right now. So that's how bad it is. So for sure, you have a big increase, which will not happen every year.
Okay. Monsieur Leduc?
How to say, when you follow a formula, and the formula says that it's minus -1 or -2, that rate will go down too. Let's not forget this also.
You know, I've been in this business for 30-some years, 38 years to be exact, and I never saw anything come down. Never.
It's close to Christmas time, we can wish.
So anyways, those were my questions.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Padon. Conseiller Brisson?
Ma question pour M. Godin, par exemple, si on dit que là, c'est 6,3 ou 6,2, en commençant le 1er janvier, si on le split en deux, ça veut dire que tous les frais de développement qu'on va aller chercher dans le premier 6 mois, on n'aura pas le même argent, donc il faudra recharger plus cher parce qu'il va y avoir un manque à à gagner après.
Monsieur Godin?
Merci, M. le maire. Donc, M. Bousson, conseiller Bousson, excuse, je pense si j'ai bien compris l'approche, puis l'approche que je recommanderais, c'est qu'on a de l'avant quand même avec un 6.3 maintenant, mais que si on veut une approche à deux fois par année, c'est que c'est toujours pour les 6 mois précédents. Donc, on irait au mois de mai pour les 6 mois précédents, puis on reviendrait au mois de... Ou bien, excusez, on irait au mois de juin pour les 6 mois précédents, qui, cette année, aurait représenté peut-être 2,5, 2,8 %. Puis on reviendrait encore en novembre pour les 6 mois avant ça. Donc, c'est pas pour... Ça serait vraiment pour regarder... Je regarde... Je pense pas que tu comprends.
Non.
Ça serait, si on va 2 fois par année, on ne regarderait pas l'indexation sur 12 mois. On regarderait sur les 6 mois précédents. Après ça, 6 mois plus tard, on regarderait, OK, mais c'était quoi la différence depuis mon dernier rapport et le rapport d'aujourd'hui? Donc, c'est pas de regarder aujourd'hui puis de dire 6,3 %, on le divise en deux. C'est vraiment de regarder les taux. Si on y va aux 6 mois, on regarde les taux de 6 mois.
Sur la charte que tu nous avais donnée, c'était écrit 2,5 puis 6,3. Si on a regardé à 6 mois, ça aurait été 2,5 puis 3,8. Quand tu additionnes les deux ensemble, c'est là que ça l'aurait donné au 6,3. C'est ça?
That approach won't
Won't
factor
then
into
this year.
tonight's resolution of 6.3.
No, no.
That would only be for future.
Okay.
Not for...
OK. Through you, M. Leduc. Madame Tremblay, es-tu prêt pour 30 applications?
I'm just going to mention that 30 is for one, and we have more than one. So I'm not quite ready for this. It's something that we anticipate, obviously, because that's what they're going to do. So, and we have a deadline, 2 weeks to issue a building permit. We only have 3 staff, so I'm not anticipating tomorrow.
So, est-ce qu'on a-tu du leeway ici pour dire, ben, on ne met pas en effet le 1er janvier, mais le 1er février pour donner plus de temps au département, ou y a-tu, c'est une possibilité? Parce que juste pour confirmer, parce que si on est réaliste, on le sait que les développeurs vont tout le faire parce qu'ils vont sauver le 1000$. Ça, c'est raisonnable, mais I don't want to put all that pressure on our staff. If we push it back a month, we're not really losing because we're just spreading out the workload for the staff, knowing that. See? Je sais pas si je m'explique comme il faut.
Just a minute.
Councillor Pohl?
Yeah, the bylaw reads January 1st.
Yeah, we might have to make an adjustment to the bylaw if
But
need
then
be.
you gotta do public notice.
Oh.
You gotta go through the whole process to change the bylaw.
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin, si on fait un changement comme ça au niveau, le bylaw spécifie le 1er janvier, do we have to do public notice because we're changing that bylaw? And
You do.
Par rapport au public notice, je sais que ça dépend des situations. Il y a des changements qui peuvent être faits. Si le conseil juge que c'est des changements qui sont mineurs, c'est pas toujours nécessaire d'aller au travers du processus public. Pour cette question ici spécifiquement, je peux pas vraiment te répondre, il faudrait que je vérifie. Mais je sais que, comme par exemple, si on ajoute des projets dans la liste de projets...
that would need to go into public
Non, mais pas
meeting.
nécessairement. Ça, dépendant du montant puis dépendant de l'impact que ça a vraiment.
Okay.
Donc, je sais qu'il y a une flexibilité pour le conseil d'utiliser leur jugement. S'ils jugent que c'est pas un changement majeur qui requiert vraiment un public meeting, que vous pouvez aller de l'avant. Mais avant de donner une réponse positive, j'aimerais ça valider cette information.
Yeah. I think from my perspective, the reality is you're going to get bombarded with building permit applications in order to save that money. And, you know, the reality is even if we push the date a month or 2, worst case, all it's doing is allowing you more time to get that done as opposed to having everything bombarded on you. Is that a fair assumption, Madame Tremblay? Okay. Because if everybody comes before the end of December, the workload, we're not going to get that money anymore. Like, you know, it's not going to add to anything. So they're just going to save the money. Si tu veux faire, oui, s'il vous plaît, juste. On a nos caméras là, c'est pour ça, pas sur.
Pour ce qui est de voir pas que tout le monde vienne déposer 30 permis sur vos pupitres, là, je pense pas que vous ayez besoin de vous inquiéter de ça. Pour commencer, ça coûte 20 000 $ du permis. Hein? Fait que si quelqu'un drop 30 permis, là, c'est 60 000 $. C'est plus que ça. Je veux dire, c'est
600 000.
Hein?
Presque 600 000. Ouais.
C'est 600 000. Fait que ça ralentit les gens pas mal, ça. Et puis après ça, on peut vous donner un peu de temps pour ça. On le sait qu'on n'a pas tous besoin de ces permis-là dans 10 jours. Là. Fait que si vous prenez 3 semaines, c'est correct. Si vous prenez 4 semaines, c'est correct. Tout. On va vous dire quels sont en ordre, parce qu'il y en a qu'il faut commencer de bonne heure.
Ouais.
Mais on peut s'arranger là-dessus. Là. C'est pas un problème, ça.
Okay. C'est juste du niveau du bylaw, faire certain qu'on le fasse comme il faut. Councillor Lorrain?
Might I just suggest then, instead of trying to change a bylaw to meet a time frame, allow staff some leniency in terms of the distribution of the permits? If somebody comes in with, 10 permits, then understand that you may not get them in 2 weeks, it may be 3.
I totally agree with that.
And I think that's where we can offer that leniency to the staff, and I think Madame Tremblay would be okay with that, I'm assuming, allowing that time frame for multiple requests from a developer in an attempt to not pay the additional charges. Now, if it's someone coming in with that's going to pay them, then so be it. But I think that's where we can do it without having to go to a bylaw change.
Options, Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin.
I just want to, and I appreciate that you're concerned. It's just when it's left to staff to decide which one goes out first, not based on timing, based on the code, which says it's 2 weeks. It makes it difficult for us to decide which one would go first and second and third. So we usually go by which one is first, and then
Submitted.
and we're talking about builders, but there's also non-builders that are applied for building permits, which makes it to the mix. So I prefer to have a deadline and respect the code and respect so we don't, it's not left to staff to decide. This one is 3 days, 3, and not put staff in a position where we don't meet the deadlines based on the code.
So you would prefer to keep the 2 weeks?
Yeah.
But just have the option, in this case, push it back a month or two, so that the charges only apply later,
Later
giving
on and
you
give us more time based on, that would be my personal, just to make sure that we consider all of the builders and that we don't put staff in the position of deciding which one would
Go
take
first.
3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks.
Okay. Councillor Paul?
Is there a portion we could say it's incomplete yet paid for, that we could deal with some of these? That there's some way in between? Because I know the clock starts when it's a complete application, but we leave one little item out. So it's not a complete application, but all the fees are paid, everything else is paid. That gives you the leeway from there, and I'm sure you can work with some of the developers if they're gonna apply with 30 permits. They obviously don't want them right away. That you can sit down with each developer and say, okay, which are the ones that you need right away? We'll start the clock as of that date.
Madame Tremblay, c'est possible, ça?
Everything is
It's
possible.
possible.
Yeah, it is possible. It's just that we work in we don't make the applicant pay before it's
Complete.
issued. So for us, it's considered complete, even though if it's not paid, so it makes it more difficult to go this way.
Okay, so Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Godin, I think you understand sort of where council is going. Would you prefer bringing this item back on December 3rd, or je veux dire, je pense que
The objective was, from last year's comment from council, make it earlier so that developers can come in and benefit of that reduced rate. So this year we come in earlier, and now we're saying, well, how about pushing it back? So we can do that, and then, but depending on, does these developers or anybody who builds will not have council's position before December 4th.
So I think that can the request be made that we pass this, if we were to pass this tonight, can we state the starting date as opposed to January 1st, be it February 1st or March 1st? Do we have that option to make that change in this amendment this evening? To say starting February, March 1st, as opposed to January 1st? Do we know?
We can do that, and if we can't do it, we'll come back next meeting and say to council,
You can't do
had
that.
you had to rescind your new bylaw. How
Okay.
about that?
Yep, I think that's fair. That way it would give a couple extra months for the developers and for the department to move forward. Any,
I've been doing these for 28 years as a consultant, and you can't, your bylaw reads January 1st kicks in. You'd have to change your bylaw then.
and as Mr. Godin said, we don't need to give public notice if it's a minor change, is that correct? We'll have to verify. Okay, Monsieur Leduc?
So then we can just pass it as it is tonight, and then if we need to consult and we have a response that's definite for the December 3rd meeting, that would suggest
To
be
push it
allowed to
back a
push
few
it back,
months.
then you would push it back if that's the case. At least you have it passed now, and you have a chance to correct it in the future.
Okay. Councillor Larre?
Can I suggest, I don't know if you've done this already or not, but maybe it's something to do. If we do, I think the biannual increase review, I think is absolutely something we should be doing, is notifying the major development community of these dates that they're going to be brought into effect on a going forward basis. So understand that in June and in November of each year, you plan on bringing to council the indexing with effective dates being July 1st and January 1st of those respective years. So understand that this is happening going forward, and plan your years accordingly and your pricing accordingly. That way they don't have to rush in to get all these permits done, because they know when that process is taking place, and we're not hitting them with a large one every once a year. They get to split it out over time, and they can smooth that number out with their things. Does that make sense? Because I like what Monsieur Leduc was saying earlier, is we brought it early so that we can get them their ducks in a row. But I don't know if we would have really expected 50 applications to come in from the development community. And I know that may be a weird number, or an inflated number, but the potential is there that some do come in bulk over the next month and a half, and we probably don't want to saddle our department with that at this point in time. But going forward, I think that communication piece and letting the development community that are paying probably 95% of these charges, to let them know that this is the way we're going forward, and so that they are prepared going forward.
I think realistically as well is that nobody really anticipated this huge amount coming. This is the first time it's happened, since I can remember.
But even a small amount, right?
Yeah.
It can still cause.
Sorry, Monsieur Leduc?
To achieve all this, I think if you were to take an index that's much earlier, let's say, for example, it was this increase was based on Q1 numbers instead of Q3, for example. Mr. Patnaud and anybody else would have known that Q1 a percentage increase before he had sold those houses, so he would have forecasted that potential increase into his pricing, because he knows the index is much further back in time. So he knows by himself also, well, that's passing a bylaw that's the new indexing coming forward. So if that's the case, then it would give us time to maneuver. They would know ahead of time. They could plan for that, to increment that increase in their pricing of homes, and everybody would be happy. We wouldn't be facing this discussion tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, and putting that in the communication where we get that indexing from, so that they can go and look and anticipate what that number is.
Okay. Monsieur Godet?
So, yeah, so I just want to confirm I understood right what you're saying is to communicate that to the development community that we're gonna be doing this biannually. Just before, I'm just thinking before we communicate it, because we're probably gonna be coming back in December, with the report, just to confirm if it's okay or not to extend that deadline. And, I mean, the bylaw also says January 1st, doesn't say biannually, so that's another change we're gonna have to be bringing to the bylaw. So once that's adopted, at that point, we could definitely.
So I think, as we mentioned, we can, as Monsieur de just suggested, we can approve it as necessary this evening, and then look at the possible changes in December that come forward.
So that the people know.
Yep.
That it's coming.
Okay, any other, that was a public question period. We'll move on to item 14, resolutions. Motion that council approve all recommendations listed on the agenda under item 11, reports from departments and council committees. And I need a mover and seconder to put on the table. Moved by Councillor Brisson, seconded by Councillor Paul. And we had requests to remove item G and item K. So I need a mover and seconder to remove those two items. Moved by Conseiller Brisson, seconded by Conseiller Lorrain. All those in favor to remove those two items? Passed. So we will approve, motion to, that council approve all recommendations listed on the agenda under item 11, reports from department and council committees, except item G and K. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Now we'll go back to item G, which was the user fee charges and bylaw amendment. So I need a mover and a seconder to put on table. Moved by Conseiller Lorrain, seconded by Conseiller Saucier. Questions, comments on item G? Councillor Lorrain.
I'm going to put an amendment forward to request that the fees be dropped to $25 on a for all the secondary fees and whatnot that are listed, and that we allow them 4 times a year, not 3 times a year, to request.
Okay, so moved by Conseiller Lorrain. Do we have a seconder for that amendment? Seconded by Conseiller Brisson. Questions on that amendment? So all in favor of that? Monsieur Leduc?
From a staff perspective, I mean, we did not hear that need to increase, and we're concerned with our intent to improve our CIP and also our streetscape. So we're concerned with that issue of having more and more flags. I did not hear the need to reduce pricing, but only to allow for some small flags and those kind of things. So now we're going much further away than the original intent. So for us, I'd just like to express that to council before they pass that amendment, so that we have discussed that ahead of time.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Conseiller Lorrain?
My understanding is that a business can only request 3 times a year to put these temporary signs out. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, so then I'm requesting that they put them up 4 times. That they can request up to 4 times for the temporary sign.
Madame Tremblay?
I just want to comment on Monsieur Leduc comment, and it's each businesses, right? So it's 4 per business.
As opposed to
businesses, it could be all at the same time,
but currently it could be all businesses 3 times at the same time.
Yeah, but now we're adding 4 for every business.
Yeah.
Just wanna.
I'm just trying to make sure that we can capture all the seasons, that we're taking into account if they have different sales that they want to do, whether it's a street sale or something to that effect, and that they don't have to then look at their business plan and go, oh, well, I can only do 3, so instead of doing that 4th one, and then they had to come back to council or something to get an approval for that 4th time if they need it. So that's why I'm suggesting 4.
Okay. I'll ask the question. I don't expect you to have the answer, Madame Bordeaux, but how many businesses are actually taking 3 permits right now? Any idea?
As you said, I don't know.
Okay. That's what I thought. I don't think it's an exorbitant amount. that are coming in for 3 permits, but we don't know. Could there be a 4th? Could there be an increase? Of course, I know planning would like to see very little signage because of visual pollution. We've had that discussion in the past. But again, if council goes up to 4 and then we see that it starts becoming an issue, then council always has the right to bring it back and make a change if necessary. Conseiller Brisson.
Juste après le commentaire de M. Leduc, like, est-ce qu'on doit faire une différence quand on dit temporary sign? Mais là, on ne fait pas de différence entre un petit flag que tu enlèves le soir puis une pancarte 4x8 puis qu'elle ne reste pas là longtemps. Est-ce qu'on devrait faire une différence dans ces choses-là? Parce que c'est pas la même pollution d'avoir un petit flag de 8 pouces, comme d'un pied de large, qui fait juste pratiquement rien qu'une grosse pancarte de 4x8, mais que comme c'est là, juste me rectifier si je suis wrong, mais comme c'est là, c'est considéré pareil.
On a-tu des définitions pour ces types de...
On a des définitions pour banner sign, mobile sign, puis l'autre c'est...
Flags?
Non, ça c'est banner, là.
OK.
Mais ça tombe tout en dessous de la même catégorie. Inflatable banner, puis mobile.
We have inflatable in there? For the guys that are like, yay! Just, I haven't seen any, so...
What do you mean? You had them in front of your store all the time. No.
Oh, Jesus.
Donc, ils sont tous nommés, ils sont tous en dessous de la même catégorie, en dessous d'enseigne temporaire.
Okay. Okay. So, là, just to clarify what Councillor Lorrain is suggesting, we go to a flat fee of $25 for a temporary sign, so we can take out the subsequent part of the user fee because it's the same thing. You don't need to have a subsequent one. And then instead of 3 times a year, it's 4 times a year.
Pour le 4 fois par année, il va falloir que je rapporte un amendement.
Oui.
Au bal.
Oui. So, Councillor Saucier?
And did we have a limit on how long the signs could stay up?
It's
30 days? Okay.
Okay. Conseiller Brisson? No? Conseiller Lorrain?
But if we pass the amendment here, you still have to bring it back to us?
Well, I didn't have it prepared.
So
it's amending the bylaw. This is amending the user fee.
Yeah.
And the other one.
Oh,
is to
okay.
amend the bylaw, and I don't have an amendment made.
Okay.
So
So
what-
can we give direction to bring it back at the next meeting to allow for 4 and just do the user fee tonight?
Yeah. So the user fee we can bring at $25, make that change, and then the sign bylaw can come back at the next meeting.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that then.
Okay.
So I'll change my amendment. No,
Okay. So.
that's moved by me.
Okay.
Just another question.
Question?
Ouais. C'est juste que là, c'est ça, je reviens avec... J'ai pas de problème avec le permis, puis je sais que 25, c'est pas cher, mais c'est encore là de pouvoir mettre juste un petit flag pendant 2-3 jours en avant pour la chose. Est-ce que c'est encore trop cher pour les commerces?
Je pense que personnellement, à 25$, je pense que c'est très, très raisonnable.
C'est une question que je me
Ouais.
demande.
Conseiller Lorrain?
Again, I don't disagree with what you're saying. However, we're dropping from 120 down to 25. I think we're being very proactive in trying to support our local businesses. And if we hear from our local businesses that 25 is still not good enough, we always have the option to revisit it. That's my opinion. So that's why I went to 25.
Other questions, comments? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter, Madame Bourdon?
I just want to say that if you don't have a permit, and then it's hard to regulate. And if people put little flags here and there, well, our officer's not going to go around and count the days and count the flags, and, you know, it gets to be unenforceable,
Yeah.
basically.
By having the permit fee and having it on record, it's from this day to this day.
Yeah.
Staff can look at it and say, okay, it's still good. The permit falls within these dates. We know, and we're good to go. And there is, you know, $25. There is staff time attached to this, and it's a user fee bylaw for a reason, right? So, okay. Rien d'autre. So, Madame Cameron-Laflamme?
Mr. Mayor, just to make sure, the bylaw itself, the schedule will have to be amended at 2 places then, if you
Okay.
go that route.
So just the $25 amount?
Yeah, because we have at 1B temporary sign, first application of the year.
Oui, puis là, on va le changer puis dire temporary sign, 25 piastres. Tu peux enlever la deuxième clause puis enlever la...
And then the I after that says any subsequent permit request in the same year.
Right.
So that was at 60.
Yeah, so we can change those two to make it one and just say temporary sign, $25.
That's it.
Each request.
Each request.
Oui, mais ils veulent enlever complètement ton BI. C'est ça.
So c'est just,
2 things to change.
so it's to change line, whatever the line is, to $25 and remove la deuxième ligne. Ça, c'est plus clair, Madame Cameron-Laflamme?
Yes.
So that was moved by Conseiller Lorrain. The seconder, Councillor Saucier, you're okay with that change? Okay. So all those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? The amendment is carried. So now we'll vote on it as amended. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Now we go to item K, the indexation of the development charges rates. Need a mover and a seconder to put on the table. Moved by Conseiller Brisson, seconded by Conseiller Paul. Questions, comments? I think we had lots of discussion on this, and the feeling was to move ahead with what was presented, and then the administration will be able to come back with some suggestions or information for us at the December meeting. So,
And we'll see how much rush they would have.
c'est ça. On va avoir des discussions là à ce point-là. Yeah. So it's
Maybe we're
May not
scared
be
for
any.
nothing.
Yeah.
As Mr. Patnaud was saying, at that amount of money, there will be maybe a few that will come beforehand, nothing to.
I don't think he's coming to drop $500,000 by Christmas.
to save 50 grand, you never know. So I need a mover and it's moved and seconded. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 15, bylaws. Là, faut-tu, ça va t'ajuster ou tu veux le sortir? So we'll have to remove that. C'était 164? 164. Mais on fait pas de changement.
Well, we'll just say that you gave a direction at 11G, that this will be amended in the bylaw.
Oui, mais tu as besoin de quelque chose dans le bylaw comme tel? Parce qu'il n'y a pas de changement au bylaw comme tel.
Pour le 164. Ah, OK.
Le 167, je parle.
Ah, OK.
Il n'y a pas de changement, so... Juste le 164, so... OK. Motion that council approves bylaws 2018-160 to 2018-167 inclusively for first, second, and third reading as listed on the agenda. I need a mover and seconder to remove 164. Moved, actually, sorry. We'll put it on the table first. Moved by Conseiller Brisson, seconded by Councillor Paul. It's on the table. Need a mover and a seconder to remove item 164. Moved by Conseiller Lorrain, seconded by Conseiller Associé. All those in favor of removing 164? Okay, 164 is removed. So we'll vote on everything else. All those in favor? We got majority, so we're good. All those opposed? No. It's good. Okay, so now we'll vote on 2018-164. We put on the table first. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Conseiller Lorrain, seconded by Conseiller Brisson for 164. Là, tu as besoin d'un amendement. C'est ici qu'on fait l'amendement to go to $25 and remove those two lines. So moved by Conseiller Lorrain, seconded by Councillor Paul on the changes, as we did in the resolution. So all those in favor of the change? All those opposed? Carried. All those in favor of 2018-164 as amended? All those opposed? Carried. bylaws are done. Item 16, we have none. Item 17. 17A, myself for UCPR traffic. That's just to notify council that the request for a stop sign at the intersection of South Russell and Route 400, as well as Saint Marie and Route 400, will be approved by council, county council at the next meeting, next week. This is where the accidents were happening.
Yeah.
So,
Are you putting a four-way?
yes, so the added 2 stop signs will be included. Well, the posts are already up. They're just waiting for approval by bylaw of county council, which will be approved next Wednesday.
So
Yep, go ahead.
So we're gonna turn that into a four-way stop now?
Yes.
So I'm assuming we're gonna have significant postings on all 4 directions for a period of time to allow for people to fully understand that it's now a four-way and not go blowing through it on South Russell?
So my
Is that the
understanding
process?
is, my understanding is they've installed the posts already. They've also installed the posts where it'll say new stop sign ahead. They've done the line painting as well already. And then I guess we'll put those little 4-way stop signs at all the corners.
Okay. Now, when do they plan on doing that?
It'll get approved by county council next Wednesday. Not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday.
And then installation will happen within
That afternoon, most
that
likely.
afternoon? So I'm just trying to think of public consultation. Is there something that can be put out on the street that says future 4-way stop coming? Like, is there something like that that can be put in place? I mean, if they've already painted the roads and put in the posts.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they'll, I mean, the new stop sign will be put up at the same time, so there'll be notification then. My only concern is if we put something up now, does somebody interpret that, oh, it is I saw the sign 2 days ago, it must be a 4-way stop now, and cause some sort of concern there. I'm not sure, Monsieur Bourgon.
Typically, they would put those new signs up. It being a county intersection, I'm not sure if they're planning to do more.
Okay.
Obviously, we could, once it's approved, we can translate that using our social media or our website to advertise it as well. But I can coordinate with the counties to see when they're planning the installation.
Could we, once county council decides, and they put those up that afternoon as an example, about, I don't know, 500 feet or 500 meters, whatever the distance is, can we put our signs out that say upcoming stop sign or new stop sign as well, just to give people that even further advanced warning that's coming? I'm just trying to think of all possible scenarios. I mean, we're trying to make that a safer area, and I wholeheartedly agree that it should be safer, but I don't want somebody blowing through it and on the first day.
Okay.
I don't know.
Councillor Paul, then Councillor.
Yeah, I was going to suggest if the counties could look at either a temporary flashing red light that at least warns people visually, because if it's dark at night, you're not going to pay attention. I agree, people aren't used to it, it's never been there, so it's a big change. People do clock down that road, so.
Councillor Brisson, then Councillor Lorrain.
I know that often, even on the dark, they're around saying new, with, not at the stop directly, the sign that is before, that the stop is coming with the round, with new, it's fluorescent and everything, so usually you see it too, that there's a new sign coming up, and whenever it's new, because if you try to put something coming up, I think it would be enough, but.
Councillor Lorrain.
Because Councillor Paul lives in that intersection area, how's the lighting there at night? Is it? There's one street light?
Yeah.
So is that something that we're going to need to look at because there's a 4-way stop now, or is it lit well enough?
The other one has, the way that has the 4-way stop, they have only one light anyways.
Yeah.
Okay,
not sure.
I'm just asking.
Okay. Monsieur Bourgon, quelque chose à ajouter?
We're just going to say it was not plan really to look at the lighting, but certainly something that we could still double check anyway.
We
And we'll
can-
still have I'll have a chat with the
counties?
administration at the county level, just to make sure that it's properly advertised.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Item B, Councillor Associate tree lighting.
I just wanted to put on a message from the Police Village of Russell. They want to invite everyone to their 3rd annual Light Up the Tree event, Sunday, December 2nd at 4:30 at Russell Public School. And we're also asking that people bring a non-perishable food donation for the Emblem Food Bank. And there'll be treats, and the Russell Male Choir will be performing as well. So 4:30 on December 2nd. So they wanted to extend the invitation to all council members and staff.
Perfect. A reason to wear my my Christmas suit again. Okay, next item, item C, Councillor Paul.
I just want to take this opportunity to thank council for the opportunity to serve this great community that we live in. It's been a real pleasure serving on council again these last few months, so appreciate that. And congratulations to council, all getting reelected. It's good things about what you're doing here.
Yep.
And the work that staff are doing too. I think it's a good testament to what you guys do together as a group and working as a team. It's great.
Thank you very much on behalf of council, on behalf of the administration. Thanks to you, Councillor Paul. As much as I like you, hopefully I don't have to bring you back in the next mandate. But no, you did a great job representing the community, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you. Item D, myself for the 417 Industrial Park. This is Monsieur Bourgon, I believe, is sending a letter to our businesses, so it's just to inform council what's going on.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Donc, je voulais aviser le conseil que la semaine prochaine, le novembre, le 28, le mercredi, de 3h à 6h, il y aura un style open house pour le parc industriel, pour l'étude environnementale. So, next Wednesday, there's going to be an open house here at the council chamber for the EA that we're currently connecting for the industrial park in Vars to bring water and sewer. So, it's a public consultation where it's going to be those board format type of consultation. We're looking for feedback or let's say on the solution that's being proposed. Following that process, a report is going to follow to council with the solution that's being proposed with cost associated with that specific solution.
Okay. And just to confirm, November 28th from 3 to 6 p.m.?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Can I request that the letter you'll send out to the community, can you send a copy to members of council as well?
Yeah, it will be sent to council by email.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Questions? Councillor Lorrain?
Sorry, can you also send one to the councillor-elect so that he has it as well?
Perfect. Okay, any other questions on this matter? No? Item E, Councillor Lorrain for the curve in Route 400.
Yeah. So I sent an email off about it, and I just want to make sure, because I know that the residents there are gonna start coordinating something and get something to council or staff, and before we make them do all this work and whatever, can we somehow reasonably come up with a way to fix the speed sign situation on Route 400 just past Groves Road going east? There's the situation there for those members of council who don't know is, I guess over the last year or so or 2 years ago, we changed the speed on Groves Road and we reduced it to 60. And because we did that, we had to put a sign going east after Groves Road to say what the new speed limit is, or what the speed limit is on Route 400, which is 80. However, we have a curve right after Groves Road going eastbound, And the sign for the curve is before Groves Road. So we've got a 60-kilometer curve sign before Groves Road, followed by an 80-kilometer sign going into the curve. And I find that, there's something wrong with that. And I understand that there may be a requirement by the ministry standards for speed signs to put that 80 sign up. But if we do that, can we maybe move that sign closer to Groves Road and then put the 60 sign right after it or something, so that people know going into the curve it's only a 60? We're recommending a 60 going into there. I'm concerned over young drivers not realizing what's going on and hitting the gas going into that curve, and that is a very dangerous curve to begin with at 60, and having put up a brand new 80 sign there, I think it's confusing to people.
So the 60 sign you're talking about is the yellow 60
Yes.
curve coming.
Yes. So before the entire community mobilizes themselves into a whole thing, can we not do something with this? What can be done?
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourgon.
Merci, Monsieur Maire. So we're finalizing to analyze the both curves, if it needs to be taken as one S curve or two separate ones, to have the proper tabs put in place. So we're finalizing that analysis. So we will reflect the proper signage from there, and at the same time to be able to address the location to avoid that confusion when you go eastbound.
So
Okay.
you're looking at the current situation, then you'll.
How long is this process going to take?
We should have an answer in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
So possibly information at the December 3rd meeting for us. Or 17th, yeah. Just an information report to let us know what's going on.
Thank you.
Okay, parfait. I'll just add one more item, item F, for the parades, Christmas parades that are coming up this weekend. So we have on Saturday, November 24th, I believe it's at 6:30 p.m. Usually starts here, goes all the way down, ends at the arena. I'm not sure if we've actually registered the township. Maybe we can let the I know we'll let the two fire departments know that chief is here. We're participating. And then on Saturday or Sunday at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. beginning at St. Thomas again, and going to the arena. So invite anybody who's able to attend, more than welcome. We're going to have the side-by-side that will, for members of council, it fits two people, so I usually walk, so I don't mind walking it. So if we'll have somebody driving it. Okay, so you can alternate who's sitting down, who's riding, whatever the case is. So yeah, so for members of the public, we've been sharing it on social media as much as possible. I'm not sure if we have something on our Facebook page or if the township has been sharing it as well. We can look at that tomorrow and make sure that even though it's not a municipal township-run event, I think we should be sharing that information on our social media pages. Councilor Lorrain.
In terms of decorating the side-by-side, I'm assuming who's going to do that? Is that staff that's going to take care of that?
Yeah, through Madame Guitar's group.
Do you have money for that? Because if you don't, then I will go somewhere, but I'm just asking.
Madame Guitar?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yeah, we have some decorations from last year, and I made sure to put them in a safe place so we'd find them again this year. So we do have lights. So if you want lights, unfortunately, you have the sound from the generator in the back. So it's not like when you're in the truck, so it's going to be very close to you. So that's a little bit the unfortunate part. But if you want lights, that's how it works. Is this what you want?
Well, we need lights at least on Saturday night.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay, so we could decorate the one from Embrun. And the one from Russell, we could just put like simple things because it's during daytime. Yeah. And a simple question, you want to have some recreation or township toques?
Of course.
Okay.
Monsieur Leduc?
Oh, yeah. I mean, candy canes and stuff.
That's already done.
Yep.
Okay.
Monsieur Leduc?
While we were reviewing the working conditions bylaw for firefighters, There were discussions with the insurance company and ourselves regarding ride-alongs or riders along on our fleet. So it was suggested to us that if you're not an municipal employee, that you not ride along these machines. So kids or family members should not be along. If they do, they are under your own automobile insurance. So if something happens, it's going to be your automobile insurance that's going to cover this. So they should not be there.
Okay, perfect. Conseiller Lorrain?
So are we saying that they cannot be there, or that if we do decide to bring a child, then they fall under our own, we're taking our own responsibility?
Monsieur Leduc?
Well, we're telling staff we shouldn't, unless it's council members, so I don't know.
It's recommended not to, and we'll leave it at that. And if something did happen, well, it falls under the council member's responsibility.
All right.
Fair enough? Okay. Any other questions on that? That's it for item 17. Item 18, we have none. Item 19, closed session, we have none. Item 20, confirming bylaw. Bylaw 2018-168, being a bylaw confirm the proceedings of Council of Corporation in the Township of Russell at its regular council meeting held on November 19th, 2018, be read a first, second, and third time and passed. Moved by Councilor Brisson, seconded by Councilor Paul. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. I'd just like to take 30 seconds to say thank you very much. This is the last meeting of this term, this mandate, and it was a pleasure working with all of you and with the administration as well. And hey, we get to come back and do it all again. So hopefully the next mandate is as much a pleasure as it was this one. So thank you. Next meeting is our next regular public meeting of council will be held on Monday, December 3rd. We are adjourned at 8:15 p.m. Thank you very much, everyone.
Envoyer un email pour savoir combien de personnes pour le 3, juste en ajouter 2. Ben, même si c'est pour le manger, là, ils vont manger quasiment pas, là, mais il va y avoir 2 personnes. Moi, j'avais dit 2. Là, ça va être 4. Là, comme elle dit, c'est mes parents, puis il n'y a pas besoin vraiment de mettre de quoi de plus pour manger, là.
Oh, yeah?
Ouais. Hein? Avec moi, ça va être 5.
Has he been on
Ben,
council?
4 invités.
Oh, yeah?
18 years.
Oh, nice. Well, at least he's got experience.